Not moved. We come now to the group beginning with Amendment 11, Lord Hunt of King's Heath.
So I'm going to move Amendment 11, speak to 15 and 25 alongside my noble friend Baroness Morris, and also I want to speak in support of Amendment 16 being moved by my noble friend Lord Commons. Well, my lords, we're shortly going to come to a very important debate on Clause 4, and my lords, it seems to me that whatever the outcome of that debate, at the end of the day and at the heart of this bill, we're trying to encourage behaviour in our universities which will ensure the freedom of speech that noble lords have spoken about. And actually, my lords, I think it's the codes of practice which actually will have a pivotal role in ensuring that, backed up by whatever sanctions we eventually decide is necessary, whether we have Clause 4 or not. And, my lords, I want to just focus on those codes of practice, the codes of practice that each university has to agree to, and the Students' Union equally have to agree to. The OFS are enabled to ensure that those codes of practice are acceptable within the terms of their overseeing both of the university registration, but also ensuring that is appropriate to each student union as well. And in the OFS' own responsibility in the bill, and I think it's a very good responsibility, to publish good practice advice. And I see this, my lords, as being a wholly constructive approach, encouraging the best behaviour you can expect within these institutions. My lords, my concern, and my noble friend's concern, and we raised it at committee stage, is the extent to which academics and speakers can expect protection in the face of action which is designed to intimidate people from not speaking. And we know, my lords, from the experience of a number of particularly women academics, that this intimidatory action can take the forms of open letters demanding that an academic be sacked, vexatious complaints, petitions to publishers demanding that work should be withdrawn, campaigns of definition, smears, demands to prevent an academic from being platformed, attempts to prevent events from going ahead by threatening trouble if they do, and disrupting events that do go ahead. And I say, my lords, the targets of these women, of these tactics, are typically women academics. And I'd say to the noble Lord Wallace of Saltaire, who I respect enormously, where has he been, my lords? Where has he been when there has been such trouble for some academics on many of our campuses? And, my lords, you cannot sweep that under the carpet. It is the reality. The work of Professor Kathleen Stock, who herself suffered horrific abuse, and where the university itself, until almost at the last moment, completely failed to defend her, is in itself a graphic demonstration of why this legislation, in the end, is required. And, my lords, I was very grateful to the noble Earl Lord Howe for meeting us to discuss this. What he essentially said, if I can paraphrase him, is the bill would protect the rights of speakers to put forward controversial or unpopular ideas. It would also, he said, protect the rights of those who do not agree with them to speak out. My lords, I agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. But, to my mind, that should not mean that higher education institutes should simply stand passively by whilst, for instance, hecklers attempt to disrupt planned events which are lawful. And I've seen it argued that such attempts to silence speakers in itself is a form of free speech. But I do think, my lords, that really confuses the right to protest with a right to silence others. And speech that's merely intended to silence the speech of others, far from contributing to knowledge and learning, surely narrows the scope of the educational sphere. So, my lords, the amendments that we put forward really try to make explicit that within the code of practice in universities and those adopted by student unions, that it must cover measures to be taken to ensure a person is not prevented from speaking by attempts to drown out or silence a speaker. It's been known, my lords, as the heckler's amendments. My lords, I would just like some assurance from the noble Earl that the OFS, in their responsibility in relation to registration and continued registration of universities, and in their oversight and monitoring of students' unions, that this will be a matter to which they will give their attention, and that they do understand that the issue is very, very important in terms of the success of this bill. My lords, I beg to move.
Amendment proposed, page 3, line 13. Insert the words on the order paper.